Hey guys, Gumshu here, and today, as a part of my introduction, I'd like to show you the decks that I own. I've been playing this game since launch, and I'd love to show you what I've built over that time. I think you're probably curious to know what a VTuber like me would be playing. So, this is not listed in any particular order. Uh, some of these I edited last minute to kind of conform them to limit regulations, as I hadn't touched them in quite a while. But let's just go ahead and get right through it. First one is probably by far the worst deck that I own, is Warrock. And Warrock is a terrible deck. It is a battle phase focused deck featuring Earth Warriors, Fortia, and Winto. Fortia is like a resource loop. Every time it battles, you can add a Warrock card to your deck to your hand, and your end goal is to get this thing out. Can't show card effects, and it can also has like a Called by the Grave kind of effect on monsters it destroys. It's displays some nice trap cards. Has Warrock Mountain, which is a great card. Dignity is kind of their negate. Have you search with Fortia, and it can play some Floodgates as well. They've been semi-limited, which hurts this deck, but little it could do. I have the extra at 13. This was back around to the DD Dynamite bots were out, but the extra is just entirely meaningless. Next up, Beetrooper Adventure DPE. So Beetrooper is its own kind of selection pack, and I decided to give this deck a try. I am playing with the Adventure DPE package. I don't know if I'd still play the Adventure at this point, because like you only have 3 starters at this point, and you're playing 3 bricks for it. Back when I was playing it, Enchantress is at 2 instead of 1. Other than that, the Beetrooper deck here, there's quite a lot of extenders here. The main goal is to like get 2 insects on field so you can start doing plays with like Beetrooper Armor Horn and using Insect to search Doomdozer. You can do cool things like equip Retaliating Sea from deck to Pikafalena, or well, not to Pikafalena, but really to any of these. And then if it goes to the graveyard, it can search Max C. Goki Pole's a funky card that can use this to pop one of their cards and summon it. A lot of people don't get what this does. It doesn't understand that it's all like one resolved effect when they allow Goki Pole to go through. And on top of that, it's playing 9 hand traps plus Duster. So, well, there's actually 4 starters for the adventure stuff. My bad. So that's VTuber Adventure DPE. Next up, we have Adventure Sky Striker. This is just a crazy list. Just looks like a whole mess of things happening. It's playing quite a lot of hand traps. It's playing 12 hand traps overall. And of course, being Sky Striker, it also gets to play a bunch of good going second spell cards. For going first board, it has the Adventure package and the DBE stuff. Sometimes you don't get to this turn 1, but that's fine. I haven't played this when Widowmaker is at 3. I'd love to try it out. This card is so amazing. Yeah, we're just playing every other good Sky Striker card there is. There's the 2 Engage, the 1 Afterburner, the multi-roll, the Shark Cannon, all that good stuff. Of course, we have the DPE stuff here. Selling into access code. Very standard Sky Striker stuff. So that's it for that. Now on to Dinomorphia. Dinomorphia is a trap deck. A very expensive trap deck. This was something I built on a whim, and took like all my gem and UR supplies, but I don't regret it because this deck is sick. It is awesome. One of the most fun decks I've ever played. I played Anti-Spell Festival with this. Just a freaking blast. I loved it. So we have 9 starters here for like your main Kentragina engine, like the 3 Teresia, the 3 Fossil Dig, and the just opening 3 domain. Of course, we got a lot of the other good cards. 3 Dinomorphia Brutes, where a lot of the grind game comes from. You're going to be copying this and setting this with Teresia. Dinomorphia Sonic, you dump to protect from battle. The 1 Dinomorphia Alert. Anything else here is just generic good stuff. Ferret Flames is one of the most fun trap cards I've ever played. And of course, like Torrential infinite permanents. Torrential's good in this deck because all of your monsters pop, or they float when they're popped. Get the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, 3 Maxi, of course. And then down here, 3 Kentragina. A lot of rank 4 stuff, Logia, Dolka, amazing Gynophore rank 4s. Raider's Knight into Ark Rebellion. This has won me so many games that I just did not have any business winning. But yeah, this deck is super fun, and I would highly recommend this deck if they like reprint some of the stuff in the selection pack that Rexterm comes out in. Looking forward to that. Next up, Swordsoul Tenyi. This list is goes under construction quite a lot because a lot of the ratios to like All Heavenly Dragon Circle and the Tenyis between hand traps, because I want to play more going second cards, or at least like I want to cut down to 40 and play the same amount of going second cards, but at the same time there's not really a whole lot I could cut. This deck works fine at 43. 1 blackout. Some people play 2, but it's like I'm really trying to shave down here. This is obviously one of the best decks in the game. I mean, there's just so much cool stuff you can do with it. It honestly could like be its whole own video. I don't own a Dragite. It's not in here. That's why it's not in here. I'm playing 3 Monk though. This comes up sometimes. Pretty much every card here comes up, which is really cool. Except Lina. Lina's kind of like where a Dragite would be if I had one. But you have a lot of lights in the deck. You have Ecclesia, you have Ashina, you have Boxia, so you know, this isn't too bad. And the idea is that if you link into this, if you destroy it, you can search Ecclesia, which is like any of your like Moyis or Tayos. So all in all, this deck's really fun, but there's a lot of games where it feels very linear, but at its peak, it can be very rewarding. I quite enjoy this deck for climbing. So that's that. Next up is Umi Control. Umi Control, very simple deck. The idea is to summon this thing to reduce its level with a Legendary Ocean, or to special summon it with Electric Jellyfish, and then floodgate your opponent out of having more than 1 non-water monster, and protect it with a Sea Stealth attack, so they can't attack over it. There's a lot of Rhodas in the deck. There's the 3 Extravagance, 1 Prosperity for digging. There's the Fish Sonar, which can search Dragon Lord. You can search Jellyfish. We're not playing Doomkragen because we're playing There Can Be Only One. I had to put this in the deck largely because Marincess was such a big problem. Because when I was playing this deck heavily, Marincess was all over the ladder. It was when the Cosmic Ocean selection pack came out. That was just a huge nightmare. I've done a lot to cut this to 40 and play as many cards as I want in here. That's why the 1 Ice Barrier and 3 Foolish Burial Goods. It's a little suspect at times. Sometimes you just have one of these that is just dead in your hand, but you really do. I mean, I really want it at 40 because this deck is very bricky. That's the thing I hate about it and why I stopped playing it. Very bricky. Just hard to get going a lot of the times. Also, I don't know, I really wish this thing had negated trap effects, because the amount of times this thing gets imperved and I get punished for going for a greedy hand. Just really high. Extract doesn't matter, there's 15 of it here for trap and prosperity purposes, but yeah, none of this matters. But yeah, this deck it's very cheap. That's something I'll say about it. If you want to play this deck still, Cosmic Ocean is about to rotate out as of, you know, I'm recording this December 5th, so that selection pack is about to rotate out. But even without that selection pack, it's still a very cheap deck. Only 4 mandatory URs, 3 Kairushin, and the 1 Mega Fortress Whale. So if you're looking for a cheap deck that's very easy to climb with, I'd highly recommend this. You can definitely get into Diamond with this. Maybe not Diamond 1. I was never able to get to Diamond 1 with it, but... Next up we have Odd Eyes. Odd Eyes is the deck that I watched the Deck Detective a few days ago. This is the deck that was showcased. It's not been changed since then. Pretty happy with the list. I'm not going to dwell too much on this because, again, I have a whole video on it, but this is such... I love playing this deck, love building this deck. It was finally nice to dip my toes really into a pendulum deck, and I actually found out after that video was recorded that Valet and Butler straight up aren't in the TCG yet. This deck just doesn't work in TCG, which is mind-blowing to me. But yeah, this is Odd Eyes, still the same deck. So next up we have Floowandereeze. I wanted to do this on camera. Say goodbye to our Sweet Prince, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. So aside from that, 39, I'll play another Jack in the Hand. Actually, no, I'll play a Necro. But this is Floowandereeze. Not much to say about it. It's a very typical standard Floowandereeze list. Shifter is such a powerful card. It's one of my favorite cards ever, and I love decks that can play it. I also just love the art in this deck. This was the first new deck I turned to after I'd completed my first deck, upgrading that in real life. This is the first deck that because I was at First of Destiny pre-release, and I opened 2 map and a Snarl and then I won an M-Pen at the promo event. So I had so much of this deck already, and the artwork was so beautiful. It was especially this card. This card, if you see this artwork in person, try and do that. It's a super rare card, so not too expensive. And if you ever get the chance to see this in person, I would highly recommend it. It is a beautiful card. But yeah, this deck's game plan is very simple. You probably know and love, hate it. You used to M-Pen and Barrier Statue your opponent. Now you're probably going for double Ryza plays, which is still very good, absolutely. Because now you can use your Ravina search on, instead of the Barrier Statue, if you have map up, you can, if you have map in Eaglin Ravina, you banish Ravina or Eaglin, the other one, and now you can search with Stree or Toucan for this on your first turn, and then you can search the other one on your second, and you can reliably trigger double Ryza on your opponent's turn. Very, very cool thing to have access to. This card's just so fun. So yeah, that's Floowandereeze. And next up we have Allure Despia. I'm not really satisfied with this list. I haven't done a lot of tweaking with it because I haven't really done any climbing with it because, I'm saving it for the stream, but this deck is sick. I love this deck. It is quite possibly my favorite deck of all time. Just the full gas variants you could get away with playing at certain points in the TCG were just absolutely mind-blowing. I loved playing them, and I love playing this deck here. Just so many powerful things you can do. Obviously, the game plan here, get to Branded Fusion, dump Lubellion, and then, or use dump either Albion or Lubellion, get a Snow in the grave, or get a Tragedy in the grave, get out Mirror Jade, and ideally, you want to be able to have Mirror Jade set up and Branded and Red set, so then add Libidum in hand, so that you can Mirror Jade, then Branded in Red, summon Guardian Chimera, draw 2 cards, pop 1, then use the Libidum to summon back the Mirror Jade, and have another banish. So, in boards this deck can accomplish are just amazing, and it also doesn't feel too unfair either. One of the frustrating things about playing this deck is that you kind of lose to an Asher called by, which is really unfortunate. Obviously the Patchwork engine helps keep that from happening, but really you're just still getting a Masquerade and using the Masquerade to survive. But still, this deck is so fun. I love it. I highly recommend. And now with the new structure, the secret pack, excuse me, you can build this for not an arm and a leg. I haven't opened any of the new stuff. Haven't really tried it out yet. I haven't played this around since last season, but yeah, this deck's sick, and you should play it. Next up is another one of my favorite decks of all time, Synchron. This is probably the quote-unquote worst deck I've ever reached max rank with. It is the most fun combo deck I've ever played. So it has a very solitary game plan, which is to make a bazillion negates. You can usually reliably get about 2 if you get access to like Junk Synchron into Junk Speeder. But if everything goes well, you can get like 5 negates and like draw 10 cards, which is just insane. So yeah, the objective here, Junk Converter, the objective is to normal Junk Synchron and to summon out a level 2. You can do this with Junk Converter. This has a discard effect. Discard itself in a tuner to add a Synchro monster from your deck to your hand. This is also level 2, so like Junk Synchron can get it back. Doppelwarrior in the grave also works, and hilariously, Max C in the graveyard is perfect fodder for Junk Synchron. I've had many turns where I activate this card on my turn just so I can summon it back with Junk Synchron. Opponents were probably just bewildered by that, but I think it's really neat. This deck makes heavy use of Chaos Ruler, which, you know, I really hope they don't ban in this game. It was really dirty to do that to us earlier in TCG. This card really is central to the deck. And a Skater Dawnwalker is perfect for making that happen. Of course, you have other Synchrons in the mix too. Start a Synchron, the Jet Synchron, and then tuning can search any of these. One of my favorite things that happens sometimes in this deck is that you need this to have combo. You need to activate this to search Junk Synchron and then mill like a level 2. With this, when that happens, you feel like a god. It is the coolest thing ever. Of course, we just have a who's who of powerful Synchro monsters. This you have to reveal a Synchro Overtake. That's why this is in here. I love playing this deck. If you ever get the chance to play this deck, it is very hard. It doesn't have combo lines so much as you just learn to feel the Synchro summon in this deck. Absolutely amazing, one of a kind. I'm going to show this deck real quick. This is Adventure branded. I haven't messed around with this deck a lot since the Enchantress Limit, because quite frankly, it's terrible. It was terrible when Enchantress and Right Red 2, now that Enchantress at 1, it's even more terrible. The idea of this is, instead of using your powerful normal summon Allure, you're trying to trigger Allure, you're trying to find Branded Fusion. Oh, I also haven't trimmed this down, which makes this even worse. But the idea is that you're trying to find Branded Fusion. You have like 6 cards in deck. This is also a lot better when Prosperity was at 3. You'd play Prosperity in this deck at 3. And the idea is to have the Brave Adventure Engine guard the Branded Fusion. Like, you know, normally your opponent's Ash Branded Fusion. If you have a Griffin on field, you can negate the Ash. That's the theory behind this deck, but it just makes the deck so clunky and bricky that it's not even worth doing. But still, I tried this build out because I already had the adventure stuff and I had the branded stuff. So, but it just doesn't work very well. I wouldn't recommend this. Here we have Paleo Frogs. This is not a list I like very much. I like the deck a lot, but the lists I love playing are like 60 cards with like grass and stuff, and that requires a lot more UR materials than I'm willing to spend on a deck that is very mid. But yeah, a friend of mine really wanted me to build this deck, and I did, and it is really fun. It is such a lot of like, it is so like, I find myself often in scenarios in which they're kind of like the antithesis of many trap decks, or like instead of like playing with like this like amassing advantage engine, you find yourself down low on cards, but the frogs like give you so many plays, and like you find yourself just getting constant value out of your graveyard with these traps. It was just so cool, such a different dynamic to trap decks that I'm used to playing. Totally Awesome is a card that is awesome. And, you know, I hate to see this get banned when Sprite comes out, but just so many cool rank 2s here. Sky Cavalry Centaura into Zeus is just a classic. And really good Paleozoics here. And getting to play Scapegoat in this list is also really cool. I love doing it because it's just a free Avermax. This should really be an access code. This is back when I didn't have access code because I was trying to like... Cause I opened this in like the meta... Like when the game came out, there was like a meta selection pack and this was in there. I was like trying to like have this instead. And I believe I made this before Lord of the Heavenly Prison came out, so like I was trying to use Starlight Road as like the back row protector, because that was SR and I didn't want to use the UR points on Judgment at the time. You have a Stardust Dragon in here, but yeah, this deck is it's fun. It's another deck that isn't very good, but it's fun and I love it quite a lot. And finally, we have Phantom Knights. This is the deck that I built on launch. A friend of mine was at locals playing Phantom Knights, and I thought that deck was so cool that I wanted to play it myself, and I tried so many different builds of the deck. I was trying to like do like your classic play of like go into like Dark Rebellion, rank up into Arc Requiem, stuff that Phantom Knight normally does, and then I like found out that like Rongo is legal. If you can't tell, I haven't updated this deck list in forever because this still has like Gossip Shadow into Rongo. So then I found out you could just Rongo people, and this was back when people didn't really have staple cards. They didn't have like 3 Imperms, 3 Nibiru's. They just didn't have all the stuff that stopped you nowadays. So like I just Rongo locked people, and it was crazy. It's such a fun time, even if my opponents probably didn't like it very much. And the cool thing was, even if your Rongo plan failed, the deck could still do stuff. Like, you weren't, like, locked to, like, oh, Rongo failed, so now I can't do anything. This deck was just so sick. And I kind of miss that time. Even though, like, a lot of the decks that, like, were, like, going first were just so degenerate. But yeah, and of course getting to play Tsuchinoko at 3, really cool. These are at 1 each in TCG. Getting to like play a lot more of these was really cool. And of course, Emergency Teleport, an amazing card. I used to have Tour Guide. I even ended up cutting it just because it was like an Ash Magnet, and a lot of times like you get into scenarios where like you're trying to get greedy with Tour Guide and it would just not work out, and you have so many level 3 special summons anyway that you just didn't need it. So yeah, love this deck. It was very fun, a lot of fond memories with this one. And that's that. Those are all my decks. I love these decks, love building decks, and I can't wait to build so many more with you all. It'll be a fun time. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, consider liking and subscribing to me, and also comment below what decks you like, what you think of my decks. Also, check me out on Twitter, where I follow other VTubers and Yu-Gi-Oh content, as well as post updates and my thoughts, as well as Twitch, where I stream Master Duel rank climbs, other Master Duel or Yu-Gi-Oh related content, and other games. Those links will be down below in the description. Thank you, and have a good day.